Hello and welcome to Ward Talk, CTN's look at the political scene in Ann Arbor. I'm your host, Bonnie Gabowitz, and we'll be discussing issues and solutions with the City Council members from our 5 wards on the 3rd Wednesday of each month. Joining us is Ann Bannister from Ward 1. Welcome, Ann.
Thank you, Bonnie.
And I understand you're just finishing up your first year as council member in a 3-year term. You were in that transitional stage where between the 2-year term and the 4-year term. So you finished 1 year, and I would think this being December, things are kind of quiet and people are busy with holidays, but with the city council, that's not true at all.
No, it isn't.
There's just so much going on. So let's just start. I know you're very involved with your ward, Ward 1, also with issues that concern the whole city, but I know you are very involved with the work on smart growth and affordability.
Yes.
In your ward as well as the whole city. So let's start with that topic.
Okay. Well, I've had a great time on council this first year. It has been really fun to amplify the voices of my residents and to get to know all these different neighborhoods. And
I'm sure you are hearing from the residents. You're getting a feeling of what the pulse is in your own community.
Very much so. Ward 1, as it's true around the whole city, has a lot of very active residents. And it's been a lot of fun to get to know all them for the different projects that we've been working on. Because actually, Ward 1 has had a lot of growth. A lot of the activity has been in Ward 1 on top of it all.
Is that because there was more land available to
Yes, that's
be
part
developed?
of it. From the Lower Town project to the cottages at Barton Green up on Pontiac Trail to the Broadway Park down at the Mishkan lot. And then our Ward 1 is proud to have Northside STEAM, a very successful magnet school that used to be a little elementary school but is now a successful magnet school.
Is that a new school as of this year?
No, it's been here for a few years, but it has gone from just a few dwindling little elementary students to 750 students through the 8th grade. So that has presented us with a lot of work, and most recently back onto our affordability issue. We've been working with a bunch of stakeholders about safe routes to school, which is a sidewalk program to help the students be able to walk and bike to school, which helps with our climate action goals if they don't have to be dropped off in cars. And it's also fitness for the kids.
Are you seeing an increase in more parents driving their children and less students on the bus?
Yes, and that's due to many factors. With a magnet STEAM school, a lot of the students don't live within a mile and a half to bike or walk anyway. And so they are being dropped off. Plus, the roads are dangerous. So a lot of parents and kids don't want to be crossing Pontiac Trail and such. And so everyone is agreed that we want safety for pedestrians and biking. But the actual into the weeds about how we make that happen and balance that with our urban forestry goals and our affordability goals, because currently the way the city does it is when you come through and need a sidewalk, that's assessed to the property owner adjacent to that sidewalk. So there's controversy there as to...
So what is the responsibility of, as it stands now, the responsibility of an owner of, let's say, a house and some ground around it? They are responsible for any safety issues that come up with the sidewalk right in front of their property?
Yes.
So that includes, holes in the cement and tripping situations?
Well, we actually, on that, we amended our sidewalk, roads and sidewalk millage a few years back, where the city will pay for maintenance and repair to existing sidewalks. But the project we've been working on this year is new sidewalks in established neighborhoods, old established neighborhoods that never had sidewalks in certain locations, and are now being considered for sidewalks. And so even though this is just North Side Steam right now, it's relevant to the whole city as we look around the city and look at other properties that in established neighborhoods that don't have a sidewalk yet, that the city is looking at. And that's where I'm actively promoting the residents' voices, because there's a lot of impacts on trees and affordability. Because if you come through and say you need to pay thousands of dollars in many cases for a new sidewalk, that can drive some of our existing residents to have to sell their property, and that's contrary to our affordability goals.
So is there something on the docket, so to speak, to say we're going to look to change this, or are you just now exploring and researching what can be done?
I am trying to bring forward to council, to my colleagues on council, to consider the options for whether, when we're putting in new sidewalks or new pedestrian corridors in the road, looking at all of our different options and different ways to pay for it so that it's not so burdensome on the specific property owner that's adjacent to the new sidewalk. I'm looking at that and trying to bring that forward so that my council colleagues could debate that in the open meetings and revisit how we're paying for that.
Now, I understand for a while now we have been working on improving, making more safe the streets, the roads, the sidewalks for walkers, drivers, and cyclists.
Yes.
And that's just ongoing.
And it's an ongoing work with the city engineers and our MDOT people and the public schools and the PTO. And most importantly, a lot of how I approach my work is, where's the public benefit and what do the neighbors think? And
so in terms of making decisions or looking at where you want to put your energy, it really, a big factor is what the residents have to say and what their input is.
My day-to-day work is dictated by the neighborhood groups who are, and I'm so grateful that in Ann Arbor we have a lot of really smart residents, and so they do a lot of the heavy thinking and lifting and help guiding where they want.
That sounds like a full-time job right there.
It is 24/7, but it is fun. It's really fun and rewarding. There's nothing more fun than getting a compliment from a resident or applause at a council meeting.
And is there anything else you wanted to add to the affordability issue?
There's a lot of different issues where the single-family home in Ann Arbor is a lot of our affordable housing. You know, it's affordability.
Are you talking about the older houses that have been here for a while?
Yes. Our existing neighbors who have been here for a while, a lot of times those are our retirees or our modest income people. And so I think that's part of what we've been talking about in the town of Ann Arbor, is that affordable housing is not just Section 8 housing or housing commission properties, Avalon properties, or even brand new workforce housing and student housing and such. It's also our existing single-family, modest single-family homes. So,
and what can be done about that? What are you working on? Just getting the information as to what the needs are?
Yes, well, that it particularly has related to this Safe Routes to School program that has been consumed a lot of the last 2 months. From the public process, a lot of the work on this grant program was done over the last 2 years, and the immediate residents that I'm amplifying their voices, they weren't involved till a little bit in June of this year, and then they really started to understand what was happening by October of this year. And so trying to work with what had already been an established plan coming down the road for the last 2 years to try to say, now, wait a minute, do we really want to go into people's right away in their front yards and remove trees and lay down an expensive concrete sidewalk? Is this really in our urban forestry goals? Is this?
So all of those considerations are really all related.
Yes.
You can't just focus on one thing.
Right.
Right. When we come back from our break, we have a long list of things to talk
Yes, we
about
do.
and that are really important. So when we come back, we're going to talk about some issues that have been brought up. We want to see what the progress is on that. Okay?
Great, thank you.
All right, great. We want to hear from you, so please email us questions to ctn@a2gov.org or tweet us at #CTN in Arbor. We're taking a break now, and we'll be coming back with more from Ward 1.
Well, you should do laundry every day. You should do it. I don't want to smell that.
That's way too much. Every day? How much laundry do you think I go through in
Well,
a
at least
single
wear
day?
clean
You
clothes.
should do laundry every day.
I got plenty
'Cause you
of
got
clothes to wear
laundry
new
laying
outfit
around
every
everywhere.
one day a
Absolutely.
month.
Well, I'm sick of
I'm
smelling
not
you,
a
dude.
sweater.
You
I'm
stink,
not a
dude.
sweater.
I shouldn't
Just wash
smell
your
you
clothes
at all.
then.
There's so many smells.
Seriously.
Then
you
check
went about 50
and
minutes earlier.
mate.
Hi, I'm Bonnie Gabowitz, and this is Ward Talk. I'm talking to Ann Bannister from Ward 1 in the month of December. And again, you know, the end of the year, and yet, wow, it's like everything's busting all over. There are a couple of small topics we wanted to just update it before we get into some major topics. First of all, the library lot is still in transition. I haven't seen too much on the news about anything that's going on. So where are we now with what's happening with the sale that was pending and now was voted against by the public? What's happening?
Yes, yes. Proposal A passed with the voter to make that our public lot down by the library lot, by the public library, a center of the city. And so that city charter change, Proposal A, in effect supersedes the lawsuit about the validity of the contract because the voter has spoken. It sort of overcame and simplified a lot of those issues. So I think coming forth at maybe even this Monday night, the 17th, December's meeting, I think the intention is to bring forth a resolution to advise the attorney's office to accept the settlement offer on the lawsuit and move forward. We have, council already approved in 2014 a resolution. It was Resolution 14-03334.
You have a good memory.
Yeah, 0334. Yes, and it's the one where we begin a robust public process of engaging the community on what we'd like at our center of the city. Everything from skating rinks to restrooms and drinking fountains, and I'm thrilled about it, and benches and things where you don't have to buy an expensive cup of coffee to meet your friends and sit down at the center of the city. Also a place for political rallies and many of the festivals where we close down a street. I'm hoping that we can move many of that right to the library lot.
Okay, so this is obviously going to take quite a while because there are many decisions to be made about how the land will be used and then actually going about making that happen.
Yes.
So we'll just look to update it periodically at this point.
And it's a block also. I forgot to say it's not just the lot, but it's the
whole
library,
block.
the Blake Transit, the Y lot, Liberty Plaza. So yes, it'll be unfolding.
Great. And the other topic was the Police Oversight Commission,
Yes.
which has finally been formed. So what's happening with that now?
A lot is happening with that, and the big takeaway is we are trying to build trust and in our community with communities that may have been on the more harsh receiving end now, and this is a good thing. We have a great
So you're talking about building bridges right now.
building bridges and building trust, and that is a key mission of the Independent Community Police Oversight Commission. So we're in active process right now of finding, distributing the application to apply to be on the commission. And that's actually one thing for your viewers, is that they can go to the city's apply for boards and commissions link, and it's being updated, but they could apply to be on the Civilian Police Oversight Commission. And we're also working to find a new police chief since our Chief Baird moved to Colorado. So the public is actively involved in that process. And so I'm looking to the Ann Arbor residents to stay vigilant, as they have done over the last couple years, several years actually, 4 years or so. Continue to stay vigilant as we roll out, hopefully will be a very successful Police Oversight Commission, which is a win-win for our good police department also.
And I had been talking to before, the website that Ann Arbor has, a2.gov, really has a lot of different sections that have a lot of information.
Yes.
And I would think that there's something they can look into specifically for police commission. They could get all the information as to what's going on and how to register, how to apply
Yes.
to be on the commission.
Yes, they can do that, and that is a link there that let's see, where I'm looking for it right there. It's, well, to serve on city boards and commissions, that's actually the third link or fourth link on the page, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So,
Any commissions, we're actually looking for people.
But there's a lot to
Yes.
explore on the website with other commissions as well.
Yes.
Yeah,
And that's one thing I'm also working on is plain language. I think residents only want to they want things to be easy and quick, and so I'd like for our communications to be geared to be as friendly and efficient as possible.
Yeah, well, that just goes to show how busy our lives are.
Yes.
And also, in terms of the water, something was going on with the water rates. Can we just touch upon that for a few minutes? Because
Yes.
I know there had been a change in deciding how the water rates are applied to people depending on what kind of structure they live in. And now
Yes.
that's being looked at and maybe revised.
Yes, I think that the change in the water rates, which was revenue neutral, it didn't generate any new water or new money to the system, but it transferred the cost of the water to single-family homes and took it off of multifamily homes. And so, as we know, that was very controversial. And a lot of single-family homeowners who, again, might be our affordable people who are gardening or maintaining bushes and trees that help the whole community and our birds and our wildlife and all of our goals, are now conserving water, whereas folks in multifamily homes, many unit developments that might be luxury, they have maybe no incentive to conserve water. So we definitely...
So you're looking at being more fair in terms of pricing.
Revisiting it, yes. I expect the new council to be doing that very soon, within the next few meetings.
Okay, now a big topic I know you wanted to cover was dealing with climate action, mental health, and how it relates to the the vote yes that happened in our most recent election. So tell us about that. Where are we at with that?
Yes, the mental health millage that passed in November of 2017 continues to be controversial because
And has the collection of money already started?
it will it will
start in January?
Yes, we will get, the city will start to receive over $2 million a year for 8 years. So it's an unprecedented $20 million of unrestricted funds. So we are doing a whole bunch of thinking and talking about that. We're doing another survey, which in itself is controversial. But I want to assure residents that those survey results will just be another tool, another piece of information where we're trying to gauge what did the resident intend when they voted yes for the mental health millage that didn't say anything about climate action and pedestrian safety.
So what you're saying is when voters voted yes, they had a certain understanding as to how the money might be used, but that's not necessarily how it's going to happen as it stands. So
That's
that creates confusion.
Confusion. Yes. Now, most everybody that I talk to in Ward 1 and such feels that they voted for mental health. However, there is a very strong army of people in Ann Arbor who are saying climate action. So I serve on the Environmental Commission, and so I have a lot of climate action people and that I'm in active communication with. And I'm trying to fund both mental health and climate action, and the third one, pedestrian safety. But the climate action, I'm looking for ways to take it out of the general fund, not out of what the mental health funds.
So that mental health could have more accommodation?
Yes.
With the money that's coming in, that extra money that's coming in.
And mental health does, I think most people I've talked to and heard from agree that affordable housing is closely tied to mental health. And so that, I don't get too many arguments about that. But then when you come to, buying solar panels and such, that's where people are separating that from the mental health money. But I think one of the areas about climate action that really resonated from where I'm coming from is that we have a new Office of Sustainability and Innovation, and we've hired Dr. Missy Stultz. She just got here over the summer, and she's hit the ground running. She led a full house at the Ann Arbor Library last Friday night of climate action activists and council members.
And what exactly is her role?
Her role is she reports directly to Mr. Lazarus, our key top administrator, and she's here to disrupt and help every department in the city make sure we are conserving and not wasting energy. We're switching over where possible to electric vehicles and solar panels and weatherizing our affordable housing.
So this you're looking at the city-owned properties right now you're talking about?
Yes.
But not individual property owners?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
However, when Dr. Stultz gave me a pie chart that shows that of our community's greenhouse gas emissions, only 2%, actually less than 2%, actually come from municipal operations. However, so we have a communications department. We have 11 people in our communications department. And back to my plain language again, I would really like to work with our communications and work with Dr. Stultz in 2019 and the Environmental Commission and all the stakeholders to try to educate the residents on what is our carbon footprint and how can we reduce it.
That sounds like a very big project.
Yes.
But it's very exciting as well, because you're talking about really two segments of our population, not just the homeowners, but also the industry.
Yes. University of Michigan.
Right, right. So there are several aspects of this. We only have another minute or so left, so, and I did want to ask you about the budget in terms of what's happening with the budget.
Yes.
Okay.
The city has good information on the website about the budget. We just had our first retreat at the public library just this past Monday night, where we began to look at roads and the budget and the surplus or lack thereof going forward.
And the timing is that by the spring you'll
Yes.
have a budget in place to be voted
We're
on.
actively working on it and moving it forward, and by May we'll vote on it. And there's about 400 million overall, but the general fund is about 100 million. And the general fund is where council will be working.
And in the minute left, I know it really seems that you want to encourage as much citizen participation. So let's just end with that.
Yes.
What are the ways citizens can, number one, get the information, and number two, get involved and give their input as to what they're experiencing and what their needs are?
Yes. Well, one of the big ways that residents participate is public comment at the city council meetings. So everyone can call the city clerk's office, Jackie Beaudry, on the 8 o'clock, and you got to call quick because there's a lot of folks want to get on the public comment. Call 8 o'clock on Monday morning, December 17th, the next opportunity, and say you'd like to sign up to speak for those.
And I understand there's a 3-minute
3-minute limit.
right?
Yes, that's a good way to reach us. You can email all of City Council is another way.
And those addresses are on the website as well.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, and my Ward 1 colleague, Councilmember Hayner, and I will be having a shared coffee hour in City Hall this Monday morning from 8:30 to 10 up in the council
So
workroom.
that's something also people can be looking at as future get-togethers to share information, and
Yes.
et cetera. Well, it sounds to me like you're very involved. There's lots to decide on, and we'll just keep checking in with you
Yes.
and seeing what's happening. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bonnie.
Remember to join us for a new episode every third Wednesday of the month. We want to hear from you, so please email us at ctn@a2gov.org, attention Word Talk. You can also follow CTN and ask questions on Twitter at twitter.com/CTN in Arbor. We'll make sure to include your questions. For Ward Talk, I'm Bonnie Gabowitz. Until next month.